You have heard about the countless things that you can do on the Ethereum blockchain, but you are wondering, how do I easily see what's happening in real time? Etherscan is the answer to that, and in this video, we are going to dive into why Etherscan is the best site to use when exploring the Ethereum blockchain and its ecosystem. Let's dive into it. So, we are on the Etherscan website right now, etherscan.io, and we are on the home page. So, there's a few important things I want to cover here. First is the current Ethereum price, which is $1,684.15. Next, we have the market cap, which is based on the total supply of Ethereum times the price. So currently, it's at a 202.4 billion market cap roughly. Then we can move on to the transactions. And this shows us the total transactions that has ever happened on the Ethereum blockchain, which is 2,072 million. And then we can see the transactions per second occurring right now, which is 12.5. And then let's move on to the median gas price, which is 36 gwei, and that's equivalent to $1.27. So what gwei is it's a denomination unit of Ethereum used to measure gas prices, as it is the easiest way to specify gas units on the Ethereum blockchain. Finally, we have the transaction history in 14 days, which tracks the daily transactions occurring on the Ethereum blockchain. So we can see that here, the daily transactions in the last 14 days. So now we are going to transition into viewing our wallet address transactions. So our first step here is to head to our MetaMask account and then copy our address on our account. So in this case, I'm going to use my demo account I've created for this. So I'm just going to paste it here, click here. And now we can see that my ETH balance is showing as 0.02 ETH approximately. And we can see our token holdings, which is 91.81 USDC. So we can see the following transactions under my wallet address. So we can see that there are 10 total transactions that I have performed with this wallet. And the following transaction hashes are linked under here. And what a transaction hash is it's a hyperlink which shows us the specific transaction we performed at that timestamp. So we can see there's 10 different links to each, and each one is one different transaction. Then we can move over to the method column, which is telling us what type of transaction it is. So as you can see on the screen, there's the approve transaction, there's an execute transaction, and transfer transaction. So what an approved transaction is, it's when we approve an asset so that a DeFi protocol has access to use it whenever we try to perform a transaction. So we can take a look at that. So in this case, I'm allowing Uniswap to use my USDC in order to perform transactions. If you have found value out of this video so far, please consider liking this video and subscribing. Let's move over to the next type of transaction, which is an execute transaction. And what that is it's when we swap from one token to another. So we can right click here and see how the transaction was performed. And we can see that 0.05 ETH was swapped into 91.8 USDC, which is the final type of transaction there is the transfer transaction, which is when we transfer ETH or ERC20 tokens from one wallet address to another. So let's take a look at an example. We can right click to see this transfer transaction, and we can see that I transferred 0.007 ETH from this wallet address to another wallet address. So now let's take a deeper look into the exact things that Etherscan displays in a single transaction. So first, there's the transaction hash as I covered before, and this is the specific transaction ID for that. Next is the status. So because the transaction went through, it says it's successful here. Block is in which block the transaction went through. So it went through in this block right here. Timestamp is the exact moment the transaction was successful and went through. So we can see the exact date and time. Transaction action is just giving us a brief overview on what we did. So in this transaction, we just swapped from 0.05 Ethereum to 91.8 USDC. What from tells us is what address initiated the transaction. In this case, my demo address is the one I used in order to initiate this transaction, hence why it's shown. Next is the to feature, and this tells us what smart contract we interacted with. In this case, we interacted with Uniswap, which is why we see the contract address shown. ERC20 tokens transferred tells us the route the tokens went through in order for it to be swapped from ETH into USDC. So what value here is how much ETH we swapped into USDC. In this case, we swapped 0.05 ETH, which is why it's reflected here. Next is the transaction fee, which is the gas fee we paid in order to do this transaction. In this case, we paid 0.0017 ETH, as we can see here, which on the day of this transaction was worth $2.81. Finally, we have the gas price, which is how much GOE units we paid. In this case, we paid 12.37 GOE, which is relatively cheap compared to the normal activity of the network and its cost. So now we are on the internal transactions tab, as we can see here, and I've taken a random wallet address I found on Etherscan in order to best demonstrate this example, as my demo account only has one internal transaction. Before I dive into these specific internal transactions, let me quickly define what an internal transaction is. An internal transaction refers to a transfer of ETH that is carried out through a smart contract as an intermediary. These internal transactions are very common, as we see this process happen in Uniswap swaps and other exchange withdrawals, as exchanges use smart contracts in order to issue withdrawals to their users. So this wallet has 9 internal transactions, and as I pointed out before, these internal transactions are usually Uniswap swaps, which I can see here, here, and here, and also exchange withdrawals. And as we can see, that's there. As we can see, a Coinbase 10 smart contract, which is part of an exchange withdrawal. So we can see that here, 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 and here. And if you're wondering what this multi-sender app is, it's an app where you can disperse ETH across many wallets. So now we are on the ERC20 token transfers tab, and we can see ERC20 token swaps and ERC20 token transfers in this tab. So we can see 4 swap transactions consecutively by this random wallet address. And we can see transfer of ERC20 tokens as well, as we see in this transaction. So under the ERC20 token transfers tab, you'll see airdrop transactions. So there's 2 types of airdrop transactions you'll usually see under this tab. First, it could be you claiming an airdrop through a smart contract, or it could be a wallet address or smart contract dispersing tokens to your wallet address. Be careful though, as usually these tokens that are airdropped are often scam tokens, which a hacker wants you to interact with so they can drain your wallet. So be very careful. That's it for this Etherscan tutorial. If you found value from this video, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing so that you'll know when I upload more crypto content. If you want to learn about Uniswap or MetaMask, you can check that out on either of these videos.